Hello, welcome to my channel. So I wanted to start a channel about fitness originally, and my sister came up with the name Vitamin B, so that's where that came from, and that's why y'all see like the fitness overhead. By the way, working on my fitness. Been working on it since November, so losing weight as of November. Videos coming, but I wanted to do this video first. Why I could not afford to be a teacher. So I quit. And I'll just give you a little bit of a background on me. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I did hair and makeup for years, like 17, 18 years. I've done it professionally, wedding, celebrity, CNN, things of that nature, but also on the retail level. So if you think MAC Cosmetics, NARS, Sephora, Ulta, all that, I've done all that. So the experience is like super heavy in that area. Lots of experience, business manager experience in that area and everything. So when I moved to Columbus, Georgia, I hopped directly into retail because I was like, boom, I already have experience in that. And I was like, it'll be super easy to make some good money. And I'll get into that later. I'll get into the story of retail later. I was actually teaching before I left Henry County, and I started off as a kindergarten para. I got my job during COVID, and I had been doing that 3-year-old class at a private school, church private school, and also pre-K, which was really fun. I've done that. I started my footing there before I moved to Columbus, Georgia. Then I hopped back into retail. Now, fast forward, I ended up quitting retail. Done with that chapter. Don't want to go back to doing beauty. You know, that ship has just sailed, and I'm okay with that. And the hours don't allow me to be with my kids. I have 2 kids. One is 16. The other one is 9. No, yes, 9. She's getting ready to be 10, so throw me off. But so I have 2 kids, and I'm just an involved parent. You know, I want to be at my kids' games. I want to be at my kids, you know, after school stuff, or either doing homework with them after school, cooking and things of that nature. That's me. And I love being an involved parent. You know, for people that are like, oh, I just love to work, you know, I got to provide. I totally understand that. I get it. And both are equally important. So that's why I chose to do the teaching thing. So I was quickly trying to find another teaching job, you know, after getting out of retail, which I actually was working on real estate in between, like studying that. But the hiccup with that was, well, I'll just say there was a hiccup with that. But I started doing subbing with ESS, got on subbing, and it was great. I was able to hop school from school. It's kind of like freelancing. They have an app. You know, the shift pops up and you can deny it or not. It was very flexible, and the money was like, I think I'm just gonna be transparent, it was like $90 a day. Weekly it wasn't enough, but I figured, you know, if I Uber or a little DoorDash, you know, in between, you know, that'll make ends meet. And then I started working subbing at an elementary school, and they offered me a computer lab teacher position because the lady was leaving at the time. I need water. And y'all, this is so much drama. I know you're ready for it. But so she trained me a little bit, then the lady ended up leaving, right? I settled into my job. It was a little over 20 something an hour, okay? Just put it there. And I was like, okay, this is doable. I mean, it's not, you know, over 20 is not a lot, but it was decent. And I came in supposedly on a pay that I wasn't even supposed to get. But I'll let you know about that later down the line. Just hold that thought. So I was getting that pay, and things were decent. And I was like, this is doable. You know, that plus the little extra that I was getting I was like, this is great. I could, you know, be with my kids. Awesome. Well, when I signed up to get my job, they said you can get this pay or a shortened pay because they're going to pay you over the summer. Now, because I came in so late in the school year, they told me that I had those two options, and obviously I picked the higher pay option because I need the higher pay, which means I don't get paid over the summer. So I was like, that's fine. I said, over the summer, I guess I'll just, DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever the case. That's fine with me. I don't mind. I'm not ashamed. My kids are eating, whatever. As I go through the summer, obviously I have no pay whatsoever. Okay, I'm just gonna let y'all know. You're gonna think I'm crazy. My rent, okay, is $1,400. I also pay a car note, so let's just start there. Car note, insurance, and I pay the bills by myself. So you already know. It's crazy. The summer hits and I don't have any pay. I'm door dashing, Uber Eats, whatever. And by the time school starts back, and two, I actually took out, a little bit of extra money during the summer just to make ends meet, because I wasn't working all day doing Uber Eats. I was working evenings. I was spending the day with my kids, and then I was working the evenings. So I did use my credit cards, and I also took out, a loan. It was a very small loan for the summer, about $1,500. Okay. And I actually started paying on it by the end of the summer. Okay, but check this out. So August comes around, or let's just say the end of July, because the teachers go back the end of July. And we get paid every 2 weeks. We get paid on the 15th, we get paid on the 30th or 31st, whatever. And what happened, this is not funny, but a little funny. What happened was, so I started work, and you get paid for teacher planning, which is that last week of July. You get paid for that, which means that should have hit on the 15th. So I worked that week. I worked August that week when the kids started back school. The next week, the 15th roll around, I don't get paid. Now, if I can rewind just a little bit, they dragged me along when it came to being hired, because I guess the lady was just trying to keep me as a sub, because the other lady was still dragging in the position. She was like floating around the school, and I took her position and she was still there, which let me know, like, you have to let her go officially in order for me to get my pay. And they were dragging me along, so I was still getting ESS pay, which I had took on, more responsibility, and that kicked me in the butt, because I was expecting more money at a certain time when they had already told me, hey, you're hired. And it took me so long to get hired. I literally had to tell them, like, hey, I won't be coming back, until I get my position. So I already had issues, and I kind of let them know, hey, it was a financial strain on me, this, that, and the third. So I came through the door, already having a financial strain, and they were a little bit aware of that. I try to be as transparent as possible, so people know, like, hey, get a move on, because it shouldn't have taken, like, it was like, I was supposed to be hired like December, and I was not hired until February. So or like fully hired, I'll just say that. But I was still working in these little positions or whatever. It was drama. Fast forward back to where I was. I didn't get paid on the 15th. So I have to go back to the front office, and I'm like, or go back to the secretary, and I'm like, I did not get paid. And it's annoying, because it was like I already had that situation, coming through the door. So it was just a little bit like a bad taste in my mouth. But I was just like, okay, I was like, I did not get paid. Then I call, they're like, hey, we don't handle that. You got to call HR or whoever else at the district. So I ended up calling them, and they were telling me, you don't get paid until the end of the month. So that took me... So that means I didn't get paid June, I didn't get paid July, and then I pretty much didn't get paid the full month of August, which, with the loan, and then obviously the little bit, and it was just a little bit of debt. When I say just a little bit, you know what I mean, of debt that I racked up over the summer, really put a strain, and I wasn't making enough to, cover everything, because I had extra expenses from, you know, the summer. I'm still working the job. By the time I got paid, which was at the end of August, y'all, my check was $300 shorter than what it was before the summer. And I was like, I don't understand. the math ain't mathin'. So I was like, what is going on? You know what I mean? So it was almost like it's just another thing. And it sucks because you don't want to be the person that comes through the door with all these issues, but it's my livelihood. This is how, you know, we eat. This is how I pay my bills. This is how, you know what I mean? And again, I chose that profession, not just because I'm good at it, because I am good at it. And I have a good reputation. Them teachers didn't want me to leave. But also because I want to be able to have a job where, you know, I'm with my kids. Y'all, I called them about the monies. I called them about the monies, and you know what they told me? They said, you started at the end of the year, so the pay was higher. Now we're paying you for summers, and there is no other option. Now, whether that was true or not, I don't even care. The fact of the matter is, what? I'm sorry? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, there's no communication. Nobody told me that. If that was the case, I wouldn't have came back the next school year. I would have found a job over the summer. I had plenty of time to find a job, but I just figured I would be getting the same pay. Fast forward, I mean, obviously I'm a little bit in a panic. You know, I have kids. Like, I live by myself. Like, it was just crazy. I was just not happy. But, you know, I stuck it out. You know, I was like, you know what? God is gonna come through for me. You know, this is gonna be good. And I will tell you, God did come through for me, but it was in another way. So I'm sticking it out. I'm like, it's fine. I'll work it out. You know what I mean? They're like, are you cool? You gonna stay? I'm like, fine, whatever. And I probably shouldn't have even agreed with that. So as I'm staying and working through it, I'm like, whoa, this is a lot tighter than I thought it was gonna be. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay. So y'all, this is gonna be the craziest thing you've ever heard. I tell the secretary, and I know what y'all gonna say. I told the secretary, I said, you know, I told her that I was checking out for the day because I was, you know, I had an interview for a part-time position. And, you know, because I was thinking, you know, if I'm gonna stay, I was like, I'm definitely gonna need like some way more extra assistance than this. I was like, okay, I have an interview. Do you know that same day, and I don't know if she told the principal, I don't know. I don't know what it was. But when I came back the next day, the principal tells me that I'm not getting the correct pay and that they're going to shorten my pay. I mean, the timing of that was kind of like, okay, for real, you know, like, I just said I was getting ready to go get a part-time job, and then she offers me after school, which means I wouldn't have time for no part-time job. So I pretty much be working more hours for the same pay. And I had to dodge the stress. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I think it was God's way of making me uncomfortable. Because honestly, what I was making there, you know what I mean, and needing like extra help to pay bills, like I could do that door dashing and Uber, you know what I mean? Like, there's not really good benefits or anything like that. So it's just like at that point, it's just like, I can't, honey, it just don't even make sense, you know? And he allowed me to move. And I will tell you this, for an entire year, you know, I have been taken care of. You know, things haven't been like, oh, we just fallen out of control, but I promise you, I've been taken care of. My kids have been taken care of, you know, and that is all I can ask for. We eat, you know what I'm saying? We eat healthy, and I'm happy about that. I feel grateful. But, yes, it was awful too, because the kids at the school, they were like sad. I was sad because, you know, I don't want to leave the kids. But at the end of the day, like, I couldn't afford to be a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't afford it. And I just thought that was the craziest thing. I said, what a title. I can't afford to be a teacher? Like, that got me. Like, it's just like, I mean, I can't help that my bills are what they are. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, you know? But in the same token, that's not everybody's story. It's my story. And there's more to come, because I have plenty of other things to let you know, especially what happened with the part-time job that I ended up taking, but having to let them know that I could not work that as well. So I ended up with no job. And I'll tell you about that in the next video. But that's it. I hope that this helps somebody. I hope that if you are in a situation where, you know, you can't even afford to work the job that you're working, just know that it's going to be okay. There's other options. And, you know, life ain't got to be perfect. You know, life don't have to be perfect to be good. To reach out, let me know in the comments, you know, what you're thinking. If you had a situation like this or worse than this, I want to hear from y'all. Let me know. Tell me all the goods. I've got some more things to share with you that are like super helpful. So again, I hope you enjoy this video. Obviously, like and subscribe, because we got to get our monies up. Y'all have a good day. All right, bye.